The controversy surrounding transgender swimmer Lia Thomas is escalating. The story started when this swimmer, who was born male, competed against females and won by over 38 seconds. Lia Thomas was born male and competed against males, trained to compete against males, and after transitioning began competing against females and defeated her rival by 38 seconds. This is not just winning a race. This is beyond outclassing your opponents. This is absolute destruction of the entire group of swimmers who are racing. Well, following that story, a female swimmer came out and spoke up anonymously. Following that story, a second female swimmer spoke out anonymously. And now we have a third female swimmer coming out and speaking anonymously, saying, quote, "It's impossible to beat her." Now, look, I think we've got to navigate this issue because transgender people exist. And we need to figure out a way that we handle sporting events so that they're fair. We've been trying to do this, okay? The Olympics, they had some testosterone requirements. Now I guess they're getting rid of it. They're trying to say, okay, maybe what we should have is if someone is born male, then they have to have a certain level of testosterone or below for a certain amount of time. But even that doesn't necessarily make sense. There's a transgender researcher who put out a report saying that males will still retain biological advantages even after hormone replacement therapy for a certain amount of time. There's also something to consider, and that's prenatal testosterone, which does have an impact on fast twitch muscle development, which means there is going to be biological differences between biological males and females. Now, here's what I want to say. The first and foremost, these female swimmers, I have almost no sympathy for, almost none. And I say almost none because I do feel bad for these females, these women who grow up training and fighting their hardest to become the best of the best in their league. And that's women's swimming. Women tend to be shorter. Not always. There's different groups of people have different height averages. But on average, if you line up men to women, take 10 men, 10 women, and tell everyone to stand from tallest to shortest, it will mostly be the men followed by the women. But there are some tall women. Now, when it comes to these women, I do feel bad in that they've tried so hard to make it to this level. They want to compete in the NCAA. They want to make it to the Olympics. But now they're being obliterated by over 38 seconds. They don't stand a chance. And as we move further into the future, there's going to be more and more transgender individuals competing against women, competing against females. And thus, you're out. It's not the first time we've seen a story like this. There was the Connecticut track races where two transgender individuals, born male, just both won and broke records. The females did not stand a chance. Now, it's not absolute. There will be circumstances, and there have been, where transgender athletes who are born male lose to biological females. But I want to stress, I have almost no sympathy. Why? If you are one of these females on this swim team or racing in these races, just don't do it. Don't come to me. Okay, they're not really coming to me, but don't go to the press and be like, "Oh, I'm so upset this is happening, but I'll keep participating." If you get a problem with it, just leave. And this is what really annoys me, because there's a lot of people who are like, "I want my kid to have that chance, and this is not fair." Yeah, you're right. So what are you doing about it? Speaking anonymously? Stand up and put your words on your chest. I want to know your name. Say who you are. Say what you think. Speak out. Because there have been many individuals who are willing to do this. And if you're not willing to stand up for yourself, don't expect me or anyone else to do it. Now, I can respect that there are female swimmers that are coming out and saying this is bad for us and we're upset with it, but they are too cowardly to just publicly speak out. They speak out hiding their name. If you want to engage in a conflict, if someone is storming, if they're storming the beaches of your country and you say, "I'm going to stand up to this by hiding behind this wall and just yelling," wow, don't be surprised when you lose. Now, look, I think rules in sporting events are, for the most part, arbitrary. We make up the rules. We as human beings make up these rules. So when it comes to the NBA or the WNBA or whatever, it's like we can make up whatever rules we want. Why don't we just have mixed team basketball? 10 players got to be male, 10 players got to be female. And, however many players on whatever sport have to be in play at a certain amount of time. And we just say, we just do that. Or how about we create a transgender sporting bracket? When it's interesting that everything kind of flows in one direction. So there was that guy who Oscar Pistorius, I think his name was. He murdered his wife or something like that? I don't know. I don't want to speak on. I don't know too much about it. But this was the guy. I think his name was Oscar Pistorius. Was it? I don't know. There was that guy who had the prosthetic legs for running, and they said that he could race in the Olympics. He qualified. The problem was some said it gave him an unfair advantage. That's actually not true. I really disagree with that. The issue with he had these metal spring running prosthetics. He has less muscle control. He has less stamina. He's using all of his upper legs, his hamstrings, his thighs to make that run to do it. So he's definitely at a disadvantage compared to other runners. But you can go up, right? So we have the Special Olympics and we have the Paralympics. If someone is good enough, they can compete in the Olympics. But typically for certain reasons, and I mean no disrespect to this, in the Paralympics, somebody who doesn't have arms is not going to be throwing a shot put. Someone who's missing legs very likely won't be running at world-class levels. But you can see that sometimes people do, and thus they're able to compete at those levels. Perhaps what we need is a transgender division, and I think this makes a lot of sense for two reasons. Women females who transition to male will have testosterone boosting their muscle mass, and it will benefit them and make them stronger. However, they won't have the benefits of prenatal testosterone. Trans women, people born male who transition, will come down quite a bit, and a transgender division might actually be a bit more equal between trans men and trans women. But I can certainly say just taking biological males and having them compete against females is not fair. But my issue with most things related to this is that people are unwilling to speak up. They're unwilling to stand up for what they believe in because they're too scared. They're too scared to actually say what they feel is right, and so be it. Let me read the story. Exclusive. It's impossible to beat her. Despondent female rival says swimming against trans Lia Thomas is intimidating and discouraging after teammates spoke out and said everyone knows it's wrong. You know what? That's not true, and you don't think it's true. If you genuinely believe that everyone thought it was wrong, you would walk up with your name tag, your badge on your chest, and you'd say, my name is Jane Doe, and this is wrong, and everyone knows it, and I fear nothing saying that. No, what you know is that most of the people want it to happen, and you're unwilling to put your name behind your words. The Daily Mail says, Thomas broke 2 national records when she competed in the female races at the Zippy Invitational earlier this month. She previously competed on the UPenn's men's swim team for 3 years before transitioning. A female swimmer from Niagara University who wishes to remain anonymous and competed against Thomas at the Zippy Invitational told Daily Mail of the intimidation and discouragement she felt racing the transgender athlete. You could have said no. Where are the spines? Where's the spine of anybody? Now, I'm not saying... I'm not putting my opinion on Lia Thomas. I'm saying this individual to come out and be like, I'm upset by this and everyone knows, but being unwilling to stand by those words is cowardly. Quote, swimming against Lia Thomas was intimidating, the senior said. It was hard going into a race knowing there was no way I was going to get first. I knew I could drop my time, but I also knew there was no way I could physically be able to beat her in the race or even catch up to her. Look at this. This is amazing. When I watched the video of the race, I couldn't figure out what was happening. Now, truth be told, I am not a expert swim connoisseur or whatever. I don't even know. I don't know much about it. I understand that there's a breaststroke and a backstroke or something, and you can do the dolphin or the doggy paddle. But I've watched Olympic swimming a couple of times. And when I watch that, what you usually see is like Michael Phelps and some of these other great swimmers, is that they're ahead and they're doing great, but you can see everyone's kind of going in the same direction and they turn. You can kind of track what's going on. When I was watching this, I was confused because I was like, someone's going the wrong way. Oh, it's because Lia Thomas was 38 seconds up, outlapping the rest of the swimmers. So I was like, wait, what? Whoa, wow, that's crazy. They're going to say, quote, It's hard working your whole life at a sport and going to big competitions and seeing someone who is more physically talented than you. However, it is even more discouraging to have them right next to you and knowing you won't ever be on the same physical level as them. More physically talented than you. Let's just be real. Males are more likely to be tall and have longer limbs and bigger hands, and that provides a massive advantage in swimming. Now, humans aren't the best swimmers. Just that's the truth. I mean, you look at how fast dolphins can go and like dart around. It's kind of crazy. It's amazing. But dolphins aren't the best runners. So humans are pretty good at long distance running. We can swim. And people who have broader shoulders, longer arms, wider hands, all that stuff, these are advantages. I don't know about the wider hands. I'm assuming. I could be wrong. But I did watch like a mini science doc that explained why Michael Phelps was the best. They said his arm span was actually longer than average for his height, and his large, his large muscle mass, fast twitch, and height and everything provided a massive advantage for him. And that's the reality. Now, if you are walking into this and you choose to legitimize these things while complaining about it, sorry. Thomas was able to switch to the women's team after completing a year of hormone treatments. The transgender athlete shared that the treatments have caused muscle and strength loss, making nowhere close to her best pre-transition speeds as a male swimmer. That is not true. That's not true. Here we go. How Lia Thomas's times stack up against her best as a male. Will Thomas, before transitioning, 1 minute 39 seconds. Lia, 1 minute 41 seconds, with the NCAA record being 1 minute 39:10. So the NCAA record is a little bit higher than Will. But as Lia, it's only about 2 seconds behind. Now, I understand 2 seconds is pretty bad. You know what I mean? Like 2 seconds is a lot in a race like this. But to say nowhere near. Now, in the extended races, I think you can see that Lia actually has reduced stamina, especially as it pertains to the 1650 meter free, going down almost a full minute. So that's a legit. That's legit, right? They say the transgender athlete said, nowhere near close to the best times. Swimming against Lia, I knew deep down it was going to be impossible for me to swim as fast as her. At the end of the day, I respect her decision to compete, and I do feel that people are going to have a bad reaction to her life choices, which isn't fair on her. But from an athletic standpoint, I do see why a lot of athletes are going to be upset, she said. You know what I want to see? I want to see more transgender athletes in women's sports. I want to see more people born male staying true to themselves, saying that this is the true person they want to be, and competing against females in the women's division. It is a fact. Males, biological males, are better at women's sports than biological females. And this is the path the universities have decided to go down. These female athletes are not willing to stand up to say anything about it. So their words mean nothing. Let every mother and father who spent a decade plus or just shy of 2 decades training and coaching their children to be the best see it all just evaporate because they're cowards. But look, if this is where we are, then I mean this genuinely. With respect to Lia Thomas, congratulations for winning. This proves, as per the modern leftist nomenclature or a colloquial semantic and colloquial understanding, women can swim just as fast as men. It just goes to show that these biological females aren't trying hard enough, right? Trans women are women. Daniel Radcliffe said the same thing, right? That's the main narrative. And if that is the case, and none of these people are willing to actually speak up for themselves and stand up against this, then why should I be concerned with how the system is playing out? Congratulations to Lia for winning, following all the rules, following all the guidelines, and competing to her true self. Let me stress this. Lia Thomas followed all the rules and all the regulations. So why should I be mad at Lia Thomas? If these other athletes are unwilling to boycott or say no, well, there you go. If their parents are unwilling to say anything about this, then I see no reason to entertain any of what they're saying. Where are the people who say, you know, my daughter wants to be an Olympic athlete in this regard? Why aren't they all coming out and saying no? Then so be it. Let me phrase it this way. I've got no skin in the game here. I'm not a woman. I'm not an athlete. I'm not going to be competing against any of these people. And if no one is willing to stand up, I'm not going to just rubberneck and stick my face into a conflict I have nothing to do with. Now, I certainly personally believe a women's division that allows biological females to compete against each other is important for biological females who want to. But if they're not willing to stand up for it, there's no reason for any of us to take their side on this. You understand what I'm trying to say? Like, personally, I understand why we have separate divisions, but I don't see why we would stick our necks out for this. Like, why I would interject myself into something that apparently no one actually is complaining about. It just seems weird for a 35-year-old dude to be like, I'm upset about a swim meet that has nothing to do with me. Now, culturally, I can give my opinions, but you get my point? They say the current NCAA women's records for these events are currently held by Olympic gold medalists. Missy Franklin holds the record for the 200 free. We get it. Since competing in the women's team this season, Thomas has swam the 200 free at 1 minute 41 seconds and 1 minute 41.93, and the free at 4:34.06. So we showed this, but this just goes to show Leah's getting really, really close to Olympic gold records. That's amazing. Is that the world record? That's just the NCAA women's records. Thomas's win was a record for the Zippy Invitational and the pool where the event took place. Only 5 swimmers broke 16 minutes at last season's NCAA championships. Wow, amazing. And getting just shy of 16 minutes. The winning result also meets the NCAA standard required to qualify, which means Thomas will be automatically entered to compete in the national championship meet in Atlanta in March 2022. This is really, really interesting stuff. So let me put it this way. How about these women who are upset about this form a league, form their own, females division? Why don't they make a females division? Now, I get it. I do. Woman is defined in most encyclopedias as an adult human female. When you have a biological male identifying as a woman, that's not the same thing as being a biological female. So thus you end up with a semantic debate between left and right. The women's division was intended to be for biological females. And there is, in many sports, no male division. This is actually surprising. A lot of people don't understand this, that biological females can compete in major league sports. There's no rule barring them. They just never qualify. There have been several females who have tried out as kickers for NFL teams. Some are really good kickers, but typically they just don't outrank the male kickers or any other athletes on these teams. So if the rules are arbitrary and we agree to them and there's no outrage by this, then what's the problem? And I mean it literally. What's the problem? No, seriously. Comment below and tell me what you think the issue is here. They're going to say on paper, if Leah Thomas gets back down to Will Thomas's best times, those numbers are female world records. Faster than all the times Olympic swimmer Katie Ledecky went in college. Faster than any other Olympian you can think of. His times in 3 events are female world records. Wow. Check this out. So as Will Thomas, the times that Will got were female world records. So we'll see. I mean, look, after abiding by the rules and taking the hormone therapy, Leah Thomas is down over 1 minute from her previous best times. You know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see, as I stated earlier, maybe a transgender division. But I also think it's important to realize something for conservatives, for the cultural right, or whatever. If people are unwilling to stand up for something, you've lost already. It's over. I don't know what you do after that. I mean this. And I'm not saying, you who believes in something like this should give up. I'm saying if the athletes themselves and their parents don't care and you aren't involved, what more can you do? I'm not going to go to the horse track, or they got a horse race over here at the casino. I don't own horses. I don't race horses. I watch horse races. I'm not going to go there and make demands about the weight of the jockeys or the tools they use. I'm going to be like, look, I got nothing to do with this. If they agree to these rules, like if someone came in, let me actually give you a good example. If someone came into the horse races and they were using some kind of substance that made the horse run faster, and people said that should be banned, like that you shouldn't be allowed to do that, but there was no formal rule on this particular substance. Maybe like a horse speed cream and they rub it on the horse's ass and then the horse runs faster and the horse keeps winning. And by like 38 seconds. And everyone starts complaining, that's wrong, that's not fair. But none of the other jockeys or people racing or managers complain about it. You hear anonymous mutterings complaining about it. Why would I care about it? I would just keep betting on that horse to win. So I wonder I wonder what would happen. Here's something interesting people need to consider too. And I'll stress the point. I do think there should be separated divisions. I just think people, if they're not standing up for themselves, I'm not going to. But here's what I really I'm really wondering. Sports betting. They're opening, I mentioned this before, they're opening the Barstool Sportsbook, I think it's called, at the local casino here, and it looks incredible. Oh, I'm so excited for this, man. Big, like Megatron or whatever, Jumbotron, 4-screen, 25 feet. Like you sit, man, you go in there, you get wings and beer. I'm so excited for this. It's going to be so much fun. And I'm going to go in there and I'm going to watch. And I wonder what's going to happen in sports when people are betting on certain sports and you have biological males competing against biological females. What are the odds going to be? It's going to be like you can't win money. Well, so this is something people need to consider. If we were going to bet on this swim meet, right? I don't know if people bet on swim meets at, UPenn or whatever. But if you were going to go and bet on this race, would you bet on anyone other than Leah Thomas? Of course you wouldn't. And the win is guaranteed. So what are the odds? 1-to-1 for every dollar you bet, you get a dollar back. People would be like, it's not a bet because no one's going to bet against Leah Thomas. I guess there could be some people who are like, hey, man, you can't win every single race. We go to the horse track sometimes, and it's really fun. What people need to understand about this, because people don't understand the horse races. You can bet 50 cents. You can bet $2. You grab a beer, you sit outside, you watch the horses go, and you cheer for your number, and you have $2 you bet or whatever. It's silly fun. Some people bet crazy amounts. I mean, I'm not a fan of that. I've technically won some of my bets, but they don't pay anything. I bet $20 on a horse to show, which is like first, second, or third. And then I won $21 because it was the favorite. And I'm like, whatever, it's like you risk $20 for a buck. Not really worth it. But when the horse is the favorite to win with the best stats, I mean, everyone's going to put their money on it and then you don't win that much. What's going to happen to college sports, to Olympic sports, to whatever betting, like college sports betting? What's going to happen? When you just have, biological males in the WNBA, people are going to be like, well, I know what team is going to win this one. You're not going to, it's going to ruin sports betting too. Casinos will probably be upset by it. I don't know, man. Look, I'm sure a lot of you completely disagree and think, my opinions on this are wrong, and that's fine and that's fair. And I will stress again, I certainly think there should be separated divisions. Maybe we need a trans division. But I must absolutely stress the point. I am sick and tired of being somebody complaining in his now office, I used to say bedroom, but now office, about things I'm not involved in. Now, I'm tangentially involved in this kind of stuff. It's cultural issues, and it affects how we believe things should be run. So I believe we should all we're all entitled to our opinions on this. I'm just saying, when it comes to people saying a thing is wrong, but being unwilling to stand up for it, it's frustrating that I, who am not involved, are standing up against it. It just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? If these swimmers are not going to boycott, if they're gonna say we will entertain, participate, and engage, well then congratulations. These are the rules you agreed to, and I don't see how you get to come out saying these things about Leah Thomas when Leah Thomas is also abiding by the exact same rules you agreed to. You know what I mean? So change the rules. Say you can't do it. I don't know. And I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimCastIRL. No. Oh, man. I'm tired. The next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimCast. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.